Welcome to the Outlaw Radio Show. My name is Zach Adams, and I pastor a church located just outside of Athens, Georgia. The name of the church is Calvary 316. If you're local, come hang out with us one Sunday morning. Our service is at 10:30. If you're not local but looking for a good Bible teaching church that you can hang out with online, we live stream our service. Calvary316.live is our YouTube channel. We also stream on Facebook.com/Calvary316. You can learn all about the church, find all of these links by just going to our website, which is Calvary316.com. I am joined by the man that needs no introduction, the maestro of this dysfunction, Pope Creighton, as well as Dear Daddy and Spice Daddy. So Creighton, how you doing? We'll start with you.
I'm doing well. It is, I would like to say it's a beautiful day, but it's
been miserable, man. The last 3 days we've had since Sunday afternoon, man. It's been gross here.
It's been terrible, cold, and rainy.
Yeah, for a November too.
I love it.
It's the worst.
It's not a bad change of pace, but like I'm done.
No, I'm ready.
I want to play golf tomorrow.
I'm ready for 90-degree weather again.
You're ready for 90-degree weather.
I'm never ready for 90-degree.
Not going to be happy for the next.
That's because
4 months.
Creighton, you're never happy.
Well, that's true.
You're used to 50-foot snow drifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah,
That sounds miserable.
that terrifies me.
Yeah.
The idea of living somewhere where snow gets that high is insane to me.
Living anywhere where there's snow
Yes, agreed.
sounds terrible. Yes. So anyway, how you doing, man? Tell us about the show, how this works. Talk to the audience.
Yeah, I'm good. So the way the show works is we have a few segments that we're going to be doing today. We're doing a Dear Daddy and a Pepper Poppers.
And a Pepper Poppers.
So those will be segments for those guys. They're going to talk about things that they care about. And we also have a topic that I'm actually not certain of today.
Yes.
That Zach's going to get to at the end of the episode.
Your
The way the show works-
life backwards. Living your life backwards. We're going to talk about that. Yes.
I like the idea.
Like everyone's got a destiny. Everyone has a future. If you know what your future looks like, how would that impact your present? Because you can know what your future looks like.
Right.
I like to live on the edge of my destiny.
Oh, like Destiny's Edge. Nice throw in. So tell me who this show's sponsored by.
So the show is brought to you by another podcast we do called Get Fed Today. It is a podcast we put up, and it goes up every Monday morning, and we put up 5 Bible studies from 5 different Bible teachers from across the U.S. If you're looking to get into studying the Bible and you don't really know how to start, or if you're just trying to increase the amount of Bible studies you're taking in on a weekly basis, you're tired of just going to church on Sundays, learning about the Bible there, and then spending the rest of your week without getting fed, we have Get Fed Today. We have 5 Bible studies fresh every week. There are currently 700 and something. I think we just crossed 700. Like 711.
So it's an archive at this point.
Yes. There are lots and lots of Bible studies. So if you want more than 5 in your week, we have plenty.
And let me just add to that. Like if you only get 1 meal a week, you're not going to be very healthy. If you go to a church that teaches the Bible, let's say you go to Calvary 316, you're going to get a hearty meal. You're going to get a 50-minute Bible study, expositional. We're going to work our way through the scriptures. You're getting steak, potatoes, you're getting protein, you're getting some starches, you're getting some vegetables, you're getting the meat of the Word of God. But even then, like even while that's a good place to start, if that's your only meal for the week, you're not going to be healthy. It gets even worse if you go to a church where like you're not getting steak and potatoes, but you're getting like a 35 minute dessert. Nothing wrong with dessert, but if that's your only meal, man, you're going to die very quickly spiritually. Faith comes by hearing, hearing by the Word of God. And the Word of God will change your life. It is living, it is powerful, it is sharper than a two-edged sword. The thing that will change you the quickest inside, told that the Word of God, again, living, powerful, sharper than a two-edged sword, it's able to divide even to down to your marrow, meaning that it goes to places that nothing else goes. Like the Bible is not just about gaining knowledge. It's about interacting with a person. Jesus will even describe himself as the living Word of God. John 1, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. So if you want to get to know Jesus, then you get into his Word. And the deeper you get into his Word, the deeper you connect with Jesus. And it's not just about the brain. There's something spiritually that happens. There's a transformation that occurs. You need to be in God's Word. Now, Get Fed Today is just one mechanism. There's all different places that you can go. we're big fans of blueletterbible.org, a great place where you can go just do your own study if you'd like. But again, if you're just looking for, you got to drive to work, you've got an hour on the treadmill, you're wanting to be in God's Word, Get Fed Today allows you to kind of sample a buffet of Bible teachers, all with the intention of, if you find a guy that you like, go to their website and then start consuming the Bible teaching. And so these are reputable guys. And so this is kind of, again, I like to think of Get Fed Today as a buffet. You find something that you like, dive into it, and then you might be looking for something else, and then you find it and you dive into it. It's a great starting point. So we encourage you to do that. Outlaw Radio is not just brought to you by Get Fed Today. We're big fans of the Destiny's Edge book series. There are 4 books out. The 5th book's on the way. Lee Stevens is the author. He's a friend of our show. Long, crazy story how we got connected. I am almost done with the 3rd book, and it has been dominating my evenings.
I knew I was going to get sucked in. I did not realize you were going to get sucked in as much as you have.
It's surprising even to me.
It is the most interesting thing about the books to me at this point, because I am almost halfway through the first.
Yeah, you don't even know the story yet.
No, but the fact that you're so into it,
you don't even know
is so
not
fascinating
just into it.
to me.
He's been able to have conversation. He'll say something about,
I'm now dropping Lee Stevens' texts, just like simple text to keep him updated where I'm at. And he's like, dude, you're flying through book 3. I'm like, yeah, I'm flying through book 3. So
it's my favorite book so far.
We encourage you to check out Destiny's Edge, the book series. Just fun reading. These are not Christian commentaries. They're Christian characters, and they're very thought-provoking quandaries and scenarios and ethical ideas, and it'll challenge you to think about some fascinating things. It's a fun read. We encourage you to check that out. And then also, if you are a diesel dude, if you are into diesel trucks, if you have a diesel for work, if you need parts, if you're curious, Vinny, Dear Daddy, he runs a website called Review Diesel. Quickly tell them what the website is and how they can learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah, so it started out as a basically an educational space. So 20 years in the industry, and it's very frustrating when somebody purchases a part and they bring it to a diesel shop and we install it, and then the customer has a bad experience because they fell for shoddy marketing. So it's just a place that we try to educate customers. This is the best turbocharger for your diesel truck. There's thousands of turbochargers on the market.
Like shoddy marketing, like just don't trust guys with big beards, cigars hanging out of their mouths, roughnecks, those type of guys. Well, we were with you last week. We kind of the week before gave you guys a little bit of a heads up that we had a church project going on that we weren't sure, and sure enough, things kind of got crazy, and we had to hunker down, and it required all of our attention last Wednesday night. But we did. Wonderful, great job, all the people involved with it. So sorry we weren't with you last week. So it has now been a little bit of time for the finale of our most recent Pepper Popper series. We've been looking at heretics, top 10 heretics. So we're going to run a little intro, and then Spice Daddy's going to wrap up this segment of Pepper Poppers.
Turn it up, it's time to get poppin'. Just a Spice Daddy ho, couldn't no stoppin'. Diving into Christian pop with flair. Movies, books, and faith beyond compare. From the big screen to the pages we read, he's got a spice to fill your every need. With a like and grin, he brings the heat. Pepper Poppers, yo, it's the ultimate beat. Pepper Popper, spice it up, let's go. Justin's breaking down a Christian show. Movies, books, and faith, he's got the vibe. Spice Daddy's here to keep it live. Pepper Popper's feel the fire, so true. Pop with purpose, he's talking to you.
What's up, my little Pepper Poppers? Welcome back to another episode of Pepper Poppers, where I talk about this week the last 4 on my top 10 Christian heretics list here. Before we get started, if you want to check out what we missed last week because we were building, come check us out at Calvary 316, located in Winder, Georgia. Love to have you visit. Also, I know the show has some sponsors, but I would like to go into my personal sponsor of the Pepper Poppers, and that would be a great book called An Amazon Christmas, based on one of my favorite characters in all of history, Santa Claus. It's a great book. You can find it on Amazon Christmas. It's on Amazon Prime.
And AmazonChristmas.com. You can also go to that website.
Do you have an AmazonChristmas.com?
Yes, I do. Of course I do, Creighton.
That's wild.
Yes.
I think I knew that, but I forgot.
Yeah, it is a website that will send you to Amazon.
Yeah. Check it out. It's a great children's book.
I'll help you out here. I got you.
Great adult book. Great story.
It's really great for all ages.
It really is.
Huge in the senior community.
Go ahead and get into the book. Short read. Great read. It'll get
Shout out to Emily Norris as well and the Norris clan.
And the my favorite author. I put her maybe second, maybe third. Jessica Adams, Emily Norris would be there too. Yeah, check it out.
Top 10 heretics. Let's wrap this up. Like last four. We're finishing this one out.
All right. The man, the myth, the legend. I like to call him Dr. Smiley because he's always smiling, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But when it comes with heretical statements, heresy, Joel Osteen.
Nice. Jerry curl.
Right. He is a pastor, televangelist, author, public speaker. I would lean more towards public speaker than anything.
New York Times bestselling author.
Right. He's the senior pastor of Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas. I guess what I need to do before I complete this is what my definition of heresy is. It would just basically be, I think we established this. If you've ever read the Nicene Creed or quoted the Nicene Creed, that kind of gives you the basis for Christian belief. And if you go against what it's listed there, it kind of makes you a heretic. And it's not saying that the Nicene Creed is a biblical document, but is a summary of biblical beliefs that the church has had since its very beginning.
So if you had to address things, there are essential doctrines,
right,
and there are non-essential doctrines,
right,
and the qualification is essential doctrines are for salvation. Like these are things that if you don't believe them, you're not a Christian, even if you claim to be one. Non-essential, well, we can all agree to disagree agreeably, and there's a wide range of variations and thoughts. But we're talking about divergence of essential Orthodox Christian belief.
And from my standpoint, the Nicene Creed kind of summarizes all of that.
For me, it's the Bible. But let's move on.
Obviously. Yeah. So Joel Osteen, just kind of getting into some of the stuff. He's a prosperity preacher. He preaches the prosperity gospel, which it pretty much says if you pray for health and wealth kind of stuff, it's going to happen. Name it, claim it. The big one for me, he minimizes sin and repentance in the cross.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, then that's a big thing. And he's delved into universalism and inclusivism, meaning all religions take you to heaven. Which
is where he definitely falls into the heretic.
That's his main heresy.
Yeah. The other ones I could probably give him like maybe a little bit of a...
Maybe he means well.
You might be the janitor in heaven.
Right. but when you start saying all... I mean, Jesus specifically said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am life. No man comes to the Father.
Definitive articles.
As soon as you go against that, you're a heretic.
You know, the thing that really bugged me about Joel Osteen the most, I've never liked Joel Osteen, but what really like to borrow the burr in my saddle was, remember when the hurricane hit Houston and they had all the flooding and they
and his church is built on a hill.
And they wouldn't let any refugees take shelter in the foyer of their church.
Dude. And the pictures, everything around their church
was flooded out.
Full flooded.
Well,
they were built up or they had levees or whatever.
Well, they just had more faith.
Yeah.
Which is why they didn't experience the tragedy.
They were full dry. And they were like, no, we just got new carpet.
We're worried about the carpet. Yeah. No. Anyway, moving on. Next one.
All right.
Not spending all night on these.
No.
We got a lot to cover.
All right. The man, the myth, the legend, the subject of many memes and jokes in the Christian meme verse.
Oh man, this is good. What's coming?
Kenneth Copeland.
Oh,
The man who will not, who needed to buy private jets
Dual
because
jet dude.
because he couldn't travel with the demon people, the regular people.
yeah,
That's a quote. He said that people on airplanes were demons.
yeah.
Another prosperity gospel
Yes.
guy, seed of faith people,
But high profile.
high profile.
Who I'm pretty sure they based the Righteous Gemstones after.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
100% they had to.
Okay.
And so that's a big one, seed of faith. Another one of those things where I could give you a little grace on that kind of thing, the name it, claim it thing. But then he starts stepping into things where he defines believers as little gods and like the God is within you and kind of thing where you are a deity basically.
Which you know that like okay, it's easy to point that out with Copeland, but you got guys like what's his name, Stephen Furtick, Elevation Church,
who also
dabble
talks that
in
kind of stuff.
they cross right into the same.
And
thing.
they take that whole like we're children of God to mean like we are.
It's almost
the
Mormonism,
God-
like it
yes.
has
Yeah.
a Mormon vibe to it.
But then he
Yeah.
goes even further and he states that Jesus died spiritually and not physically kind of thing.
Yeah, some weird stuff.
And like really weird stuff. And you watch some of it, the videos, and it's not AI generated, and you're just like, this guy might be demon possessed.
no, he screams
Like,
at you. Yeah.
and heretic.
And if you're wondering
Yeah.
why he would say that Jesus died spiritually, not physically, it's because that's the logical end to the prosperity gospel. Because how can a God who doesn't want us to suffer pain and wants us to be wealthy
Right.
have his son, who is also him, die on a cross, poor and naked?
Have you seen this video where Steve Furtick, like,
Is that the one where he says, I am God?
no,
Because
he
did
goes
do that.
and, like he starts. This is Protestia. Steve Furtick wades into the crowd, finds a congregant, gives them a piggyback ride to the stage.
What?
Oh, it's
Can
like
you give me a piggyback ride next Sunday?
You're right. I don't have enough faith. I don't have enough faith. No, I had not X, Y, and Z. I said, this man is not anointed. He's nuts.
Dude.
Yeah, but very similar, like a slick thing. I had somebody even comment, like, how do like the weirdest people have like the best music? It's like because music is all they have because they don't teach the word. Like they have to appeal some way.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you think Kenneth Copeland's crazy, but you're a big Elevation Church fan, like you need to like really wade into what's happening because they're
Dude, Stephen Furtick's got some weird stuff going
it's
on.
kind of the same thing. Not to say that there's not some really good Elevation worship songs, but so did David. So I'm not judging that. It's a whole nother topic. Anyway, next one.
All right, so the next one, trying to get into the...
Yeah, two more, right? Two more.
Two more, last two. This next guy, he got punched by Santa. That's how I'm starting this one
Nice
out.
one. I like it.
Arius, from 250 to 336 AD. He was a priest in Alexandria. He basically said that... Man, I don't know how people can arrive at these, but basically, I don't
He
know.
got punched by Santa.
He got punched by
It's a
Santa.
great
That-
opening
yeah.
line.
Basically, it means that Jesus didn't die a physical death, and he was like that kind of thing because he couldn't.
It was the Arian heresy.
Yeah, the Arian heresy. That's where we get Arianism from. It was from this guy's name, Arius. And basically, this is where you get the two different forms. You can see this in today's Christianity cults through Unitarians and Jehovah's Witnesses. You can see those belief systems.
Who also don't believe in Santa Claus.
Right.
It goes back to Saint
They were
Nick.
still angry.
They're still ticked off about it.
Right.
So, for the record, when we're saying that, there was an actual heretic named Arius, and the historical Saint Nicholas literally punched him in the face over his heresy,
Yes.
which is the best story about Saint Nick I've ever heard.
And yet
in my
you
whole
hate
life.
Christmas.
You know what we're going to do?
I know.
You know what we're going to do, Creighton? I want you to have, when we get closer to Christmas, we're going to give you a Christmas story time with Pope C, where you get to tell the story. Your favorite little Christmas story.
I would love that.
That's actually, you know
Yes.
what? That might be my second favorite Christmas story.
We're going to have you do a Pope
the first
hat
is the birth
that's
of our
also-
God that is co-opted by the consumers. All right.
Could we have you wear a Pope hat with elf ears?
I'll do the Pope hat.
Okay. All right, last one. Drum roll.
All right, last one, and all these have similarities where they're denying like the Trinity and the deity of Christ and so on and so forth. This is the biggest one, and a lot of these you kind of question like, how could you believe this kind of stuff? And then you get to this guy, and you really like, how could you do this? Like, you were the man, the myth, the legend. The number probably, I guess you would consider him number 4. And then you just threw it all away because you thought you were better. Satan.
Good old Louis.
Like, yeah. Like, what's up with that?
That was short for Lucifer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Sorry.
But like, how do you, like, and it all starts small things. Like, you have a little bit of pride. You start giving into that kind of, I am better, or maybe God doesn't know what he's doing.
Self-aggrandizing, worship,
Yes.
attention.
And then that leads to heresy. And you can kind of see that in all these heretics that I've gone through, the top 10 list, and this guy just sums it up.
So if people want to find the Pepper Poppers, where do they go? Wrap us up.
You can go to outlawradio.org or check us out on Facebook, X, or at my X profile at what is mine? Spice Daddy 316.
Spice Daddy 316.
Hold on, I have
It's
something for
there.
this.
It's there. So we'll throw that
I did
up.
that wrong.
Oh, you did not do that right.
I did not do that right, boys.
No,
I am
where-
so sorry. That is
Oh man, where is the
embarrassing.
professionalism?
I forgot
Hey,
to set that
we're a little
up.
rusty after a week off.
Oh man.
Oh, that's so upsetting.
Man,
I forgot to set that up.
Anyway.
Sorry to our dozen watchers.
Anyway, there are at least 4 people disappointed. That's us.
That's really disappointing.
that was us.
I'm very disappointed.
You know what? I'm going to change my mind. I'm changing one of my list. I'm putting Creighton on there.
Oh no. So you can check out all of the Pepper Poppers. We will cut these out. We release them individually. They're all available on our YouTube channel, which is outlawradio.live. So outlawradio.live. We're going to be talking about the importance of looking at the end of your life to give context for today. We call it the present for a reason. It's a gift. You're not promised anything. So you have today, and today matters. You're not promised tomorrow. And so with the knowledge of where life ends for you should give context to what really should matter today. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. But before we get to it, we earlier this year, an organization called the Wonder Project rolled out a series, a video series, on Amazon Prime, and it was The House of David. House of David. First season was excellent. I happened at the time to be teaching through the life of David, still am. It really related very much to what was going on within our church. So we decided at the time to do reviews of the first season, the episodes of House of David. We're going to do the same thing. They've rolled out October 5th. They rolled out season 2. They released the first 3 episodes. Since they've had 4 and 5. But what we're going to do real quick is we're going to provide some thoughts. We're going to review House of David season 2. We're going to do the first 3 episodes. I know Creighton, Justin, myself, we've watched it. Vinny's watched a little bit of it. He's been traveling, so hasn't been able to watch all of it. Let me give you a quick recap, and then I want to get you guys' thoughts, just what the episodes are. And again, there's really no spoilers because, 2 Samuel, 1 Samuel have been written for a while. So you should know the story. Like if you were shocked David actually killed Goliath, well, that's on you. So season 1 was structured very creatively, where the very first scene of the first episode was David taking on Goliath. And then the clock went back. They rolled out the story, and then the last episode ended back with that famous scene. Very cool way to tell a story. You open season 2. I was very much hoping they'd keep the same format. Season 2, episode 1 picks up in that particular battle. So David has just struck Goliath, has lopped off his head. The armies of Israel charge forth. The armies of the Philistines charge forth. And episode 1, the entire episode is just a gnarly battle. Pretty epic, honestly, just in the way that they filmed it, they produced it. You have a lot of interesting things happening. David is not skilled in warfare, by the way. So like he's kind of struggling. You get like Super Ninja Jonathan doing his thing. You get Saul not wanting the credit of the battle, the victory to go to anyone else, coming in, dealing with wrestling with some of his own demons. You also have Achish, the king of the Philistines, super swording it up. You have one of David's brothers at some point dying with it. Like you have a lot of things going on.
And it's done really well. Like the cinematography, the color, the lighting was great. To put it in perspective, one of the best shows of all time, Game of Thrones, one of their big last battles was horrible because it was super dark because it was at night. I thought that they did a great job with this battle at the beginning of season 2 of House of David. I thought it was really good.
And we should acknowledge right from the jump that the same quality of filming, storytelling, lighting, like the artsy stuff, carries forth. Like there's not been a drop in quality. There's no drop in quality whatsoever, which I mean, admittedly, you could be a little worried of. Because they're operating on a budget, and and you know what? And they rolled the second season quick.
Yeah.
I mean, they really, I think they filmed most of it in Greece. They were jumping on it. So the first episode really deals with that whole battle. And then the second episode has them coming back into Jerusalem, kind of has David being brought into the family. You have within that episode. So like the first season ended also with they call him Ishba.
The second son.
It's the second son of Saul. Technically, he's Ishbosheth, biblically, as far as his character goes. He had been sent into exile. That was one of the storylines of the first season. He comes back. He gets crowned to be king because they think that they've lost the battle. The second episode, they deal with that. Him coming back into the family, a little bit of the storyline. They actually will develop his story more in the third episode. Second episode, Jonathan has been injured in battle, and he's not doing really well, and so he goes to see a healer. You also have Samuel. There's a storyline where Samuel ends up... Saul sees this victory as being God's approval. Samuel gets arrested. There's like these weird interactions with him and Saul, Abner, Saul's wife, then Doeg, who's gonna cut him up for information. So that ends up being like the second episode. I'm trying to think if so they David comes back from his brother, his funeral. So his brother has died in the first episode. He comes back, and Saul, and this is kind of the wrinkle in the story, Saul, like the episode ends with Saul declaring that David was going to become part of the family. He pledges his allegiance, and instead of giving him the hand of Michael, he instead gives him the hand of Merab, the firstborn daughter, and that's kind of how the episode ends. It's like a dun dun dun. One of the things I did really come to appreciate, I noticed it more this season, but it was the same. Like we talk about the cinematography, the lighting, etc. The music, whoever's doing the score, it's excellent.
Yeah,
like, it's very, very, very well done because it's modern enough, but it has a very Middle Eastern vibe to it. It's fresh. I really like the way that they do the music. And then the third episode, you kind of pick up that storyline. You get the storyline of Ishbosheth. There's some things that kind of happen throughout it. Trying to think. Oh, you have Saul's wife being caught in a couple lies. Samuel escapes.
I think you get to see the perspective of the Philistines a little bit.
You do
more.
Yeah. That might have even been the second episode. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure if it's the second or the third episode, but a scene that I thought was really neat was Abner and Joab. I think it was Joab.
Yes. Their interactions
and their interactions with the witch.
Yeah. Which we don't want to provide super spoilers, but 100%. One of the things that again drove me nuts about the first season is the easy unforced errors. Like the biggest complaint about the first season for me was David's mother. They do seem to kind of like pull the ripcord on that storyline. There's really like it's below the surface, but they're not like overtly making that as much of a thing as they did in the first season.
Yeah,
but it's like an unforced error. I have 4, and again, this is just a recap of the first 3 episodes. I have 4 unforced errors that again, like I don't know who is advising them, but these are just dumb things to get wrong. First, they're riding around on horses. They didn't ride around on horses. In fact, horses were forbidden in the land of Israel. God forbid the kings from accumulating horses. This is what makes Solomon's deal such a problem.
Oh, that's right.
Solomon,
wives and horses.
So, but if you're reading through 1 Samuel and 2 Samuel, what did they ride? No, they did not ride donkeys. They rode mules.
Oh.
And what's fascinating is there's a scene where Absalom invites all of his brothers for the sheep shearing celebration. He sets this up to kill Amnon.
Whoa, spoiler.
Yeah, this is all 2 Samuel. This is much later. And then we're told that like all they ride away in their mules. And I taught through this recently, and I made kind of the joke about, you know, the funny scene of them like galloping away, not on stallions, but like their mules. And my buddy Andy was like, he came up afterwards. He goes, you know what? Like that pricked something in my mind. Because, you know, that's the first mention of mules in all of Scripture. And I said, that's interesting. And he goes, but like it's an indication. He goes, how do you get a mule? A mule is crossed between a horse and a donkey. They were forbidden from having horses in Israel. But this just shows how they were pushing the line of immorality, that they're like, well, we don't want to ride around on donkeys because they're slow, but we can't have horses because God forbid them.
So we'll make mules.
So they made mules.
And mules
are strong.
Are way stronger than most traditional riding horses.
And you would know all this,
yes.
right?
Yeah, they're way smarter too.
They're
way smarter.
They're more stubborn too.
Yeah, you can make a horse like jump into a lake and drown itself. A mule will launch you into the lake and stand on the shore and watch you drown. Like they're way smarter.
So, but what's interesting is like they present this whole scene where they're on their way up to Tel Dan. Oh, not Tel Dan, that's the modern name, but Dan, the tribe of Dan. They're all riding horses. They make a big deal about riding horses. They did not have horses. Like horses were forbidden. This becomes a big deal because Solomon actually accumulates horses. He has stables for horses. That becomes a problem later on. But they specifically, again, just read the story. There's no horses. They specifically have mules. Unforced error. Other one, they're entering into Jerusalem. Coming back from the big battle. So Saul.
Does it say they're entering Jerusalem?
Not Jerusalem. They're coming back into.
Okay, I was going to say, because that is an unforced error.
They're coming into, what is it, Geba? The new capital was Geba. So they're coming back into the city victors, right? And all the people have lined the streets to celebrate their arrival. But they're waving palm branches. And you say, well, wait a second, that's biblical. Like when Jesus entered Jerusalem riding on a donkey, they waved palm branches. Well, yes, that's true. They did that in 30 AD. Why? Because the palm branch had become a symbol of Jewish independence when? During the Maccabean Revolution of the 300, 400 BC? The symbolism of a palm frond being the symbol of victory and liberation, independence.
Didn't exist then.
It was 700 years later. And so they have them waving these palm branches, but there's no historical evidence whatsoever that had any validity. Here's another one. Yeah, you're going to...
You see, that was one where I saw it and I was like, oh, I see what they're doing. This is supposed to be like when Jesus enters.
And that's what they're doing, but
that was the goal. I didn't know that it wasn't a thing until the Maccabees.
Here's a bigger problem. So Jonathan has been injured and he goes to the healer. Well, no. So you're talking about the tool.
Yeah, because I had to look it up.
Okay, so give me that.
The arrow extractor.
Yeah.
Was created in like in England in the like 1700s, 1400s, like way later. I know that's a big
That's
gap.
like two,
but I'm talking like relatively
years
modern. Like the idea of being able
Yeah.
to pull an arrow out. At that point, the closest thing they had was using a relatively sharp spoon and try to dig out the arrowhead.
Okay, so you looked up
And
that.
because I was like, as I saw it, and I was like, I remember hearing about the first time that was used. And it was
When
used to
then?
save one of the King Henrys when he was a kid.
Okay, so I didn't even have that one, but that's an easy error.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy.
Same scene. As she's about to perform surgery, the little boxes that contain the law, where they would scribe down the law, they're called phylacteries, where they would wrap them. And you'll see Orthodox Jews today, they have these little boxes on their forehead, and it's wrapped around. It's the law, and then they'll wrap them around their arms, and it holds the law. They're called phylacteries, and she's wrapping them around Jonathan. You even see it on his forehead. Phylacteries did not exist at all until post-Babylonian exile, which is still another 600-700 years later. That did not exist in any context in any way during the time of David. Again, just Gronk it, man. Like that's not a hard one. Like what are we doing? Fourth one, last one. So the first season, I really wasn't sure who they were trying to make the character out to be. Because they pronounce his name differently. And then I had to do a little research today to really figure out what name are they attributing to this actor. So Creighton, you even mentioned it. It's Joab. So you have Abner, you have Joab. Joab's the other character.
He's got the big face scar.
Oh, and he's like a BA. Like he is like no nonsense.
If you're not sure who we're talking about, when he's the guy that comes to get David from the funeral, when
he almost throws David off the
and then when
palace.
David's older brothers, when he tells the family that David's now the commander of 1,000 men, he's like, including me and you, talking to David's older brother. And then when David's older brother is being a jerk about it, he's like, hey, your commander's talking to you.
Right.
And it's like Joab is now on board.
So I want to do at some point, once we get through all this, I'm going to do an episode on just Joab. Like I think at working my way through 1st and 2nd Samuel, I think Joab is like one of the most interesting characters. Like he's mentioned a lot. Like and I think just doing a study on him independently would be fascinating.
He goes in and out of favor a couple of times.
There's all kinds of things. Oh man, like Joab is very complicated. So there's no doubt they're making him like he's Joab. So he's going to be a character for a long time. He's first introduced, by the way, in 1 Chronicles 2:16. But here's what's interesting. Joab is the son of Zariah, according to the genealogy. You just have to read the Bible to get this. This is why this is an unforced error. And Zariah is the sister of David. So Joab is David's nephew. David is Joab's uncle. Now, in the beginning of the show, they do place Joab, the character, as being kind of a cousin, relative, extended family, whatever, from the tribe of Judah, whatever.
Yeah, he says to his older brother, he's our kin or he's our blood or something. He's like, but that doesn't matter.
But you got to understand that he should be, the context of it, he should be younger than David. He's not even mentioned at all being part of Saul's court or being part of Saul's army. He ends up rallying around David later when David is in exile. He's becomes
one of the mighty men. He becomes
a big guy, like a big character. Don't get me wrong, but they've introduced him too old, and not in the biblical context. Which again, okay, I can give some license to, but I just see that as an unforced error.
See, as someone who comes from a big family, and my dad from a big family, my dad has cousins that are older than he is. He has nephews that are older than he is. So that's not something that would play in too old. But within the context of what you said with being in Saul's court, that could be it.
So I think that's fair. I think that's a fair point.
Because Because I mean, it's hard for most people to think outside of a big family. Like, I'm the oldest of 9 children. My youngest sister is 21 years younger than I am.
Just to be clear, you're not saying that your younger sister is 21. She's
No,
21 years younger than you?
I am.
That's insane. I
She
didn't realize
just
that.
graduated high school last year.
I hadn't done the math there. That's
Right.
crazy.
So it's not
Sister Spice.
right. So it like it's not unreal in ancient times when you had big families to have nephews and nieces that were older than you.
Okay. Easy correction is at some point just introduce Zariah as an much older sister
Right,
of
which you
David that
don't-
we haven't met. We've only met the little girl who's his sister.
Right.
And you could remedy that. I do like the fact that he's Joab.
Yeah.
Now, like concrete, I know he's Joab because I find Joab very fascinating.
What's the name? I guess I haven't noticed. Do they call him Joab in the show?
It's Joab. They pronounce it.
They say Joab, like they pronounce that B as a V.
Oh,
and
the-
sometimes they have the J as a Y.
Let's-
Joab.
It's
that's
probably accurate, but it's confusing. Like Mikhail,
yeah.
where's Michael
No,
in
that's
English?
that's very when there was no historical guy here. There was no J pronunciation in most languages until like really, really early. That's why
or recent. You mean
yeah,
recent.
or recently. That's why like Mexico
Is Mexico.
is Mexico, but the X, like the J didn't exist in the English language or the Spanish language until like 13 or 1400.
It might
So,
actually
I
be
mean,
more recent than that. There's no.
yeah,
That's why there's
it's-
no I Street in New York
Right.
because Jay and I were one letter.
So we are flying through time
Yes.
here.
I would like to just before we move off of David.
No, we're not because I've got things I like. I just made some criticisms.
I've also got a thing I like that I want to talk about before we finish.
Okay,
So,
you go first, and then
then
we'll get spice in it.
I really, it was a snippet. There's a moment where David is meeting his men, and one of the men that he meets is Uriah.
yeah, I'm with you. I caught
And
that
I was like, oh, that's so much better.
Yeah.
Like better.
because
you don't-
Uriah was a mighty man of valor. He's
He was a
listed
mighty-
in Chronicles.
He is I think it's his father that currently in the study that we're in right now.
He's not his father. Uriah marries Bathsheba, who David has an affair with.
Bathsheba's father.
Grandfather is a Hiphtheth. So
Yes. But I thought it was really cool to make Uriah a player at this point in David's life.
Absolutely.
Because it would totally make sense
Totally.
that he is.
totally.
And
I
it also
completely
then
agree.
deepens all of the
Totally agree.
problems with
Yeah.
David and Bathsheba.
I do
I
like-
really enjoyed that. I
And
wanted
he
to make
seems
sure
like that kind of good guy though. Right off the
Yeah.
bat.
He seems
right
like
off the
such a
bat.
good guy.
And they're gonna lean into that because they're setting up the tragedy.
Yes.
Before I get to things I like, I know you haven't watched a lot, but your first impression, Vinny.
Yeah, I watched episode 1 uninterrupted. Agree 100%. It's just as good a quality as the first season.
I will say the only critique of that first episode is, dude, it wasn't a battle. Like I don't even think that there's a biblical accuracy to it because the Bible says that when David struck Goliath, the Philistines fled. Like they ran and then Israel pursued. It wasn't like two battle, like armies converging to the point that like David comes walking back holding the head of Goliath, which I would have loved to have seen. So like, let's again, we can give him creative license, but the license of the first episode, there was nothing biblical about it in any way.
Yeah, no, it
was
just
great, but it
just
was not.
felt very Game of Thronesy.
Yeah, it was real.
Yeah, and then I started the second episode, and my kid walked downstairs, and we had a conversation, and it played in the background. And I didn't see any of it.
So Spikes, your thoughts? Before I get to the things I
Some
like.
biblical and historical accuracies and geographic context of things. The battle scene, I was waiting for them to just turn and run. Didn't happen.
Yeah.
That immediately set the tone for the rest of the episodes for me. The next one, I would say, you see the King of Gath go back, and in one of the scenes, most people probably wouldn't notice. I've stood on the top of Gath before, and in the background of this scene, you just see this river or the water. it's nowhere near. Like, you can see the Mediterranean Ocean way, way, way off in the distance, but there's no water source near. Like,
okay,
big
so
water
like
source
where
nearby.
where I might, you called me out on being maybe a little particular about
Yeah.
the family stuff. I'm gonna
Right.
say, yeah, I think that's a little petty.
Yeah,
Geography changes
but like there's certain,
daily.
and I think the thing is, like, there's certain things for certain people that as soon as you see it, it just turns you off.
Yeah, yeah.
And those were the two things that, like, I just stopped paying so much attention to the show. Like, I enjoyed certain aspects of it, but the rest of it was just kind of like,
It was niggling at you.
yeah, you got these things wrong in my mind, and what else? Now I'm looking for the other wrong things you're doing.
I
throughout
think
the
that's
episode.
such a fair point, because so we watched 1, 2, and then we watched 3, Jessica and I, and I had a very kind of poor opinion of it at first, and then in preparation, because it's been a couple weeks, so in preparation for tonight, the last 2 days, like, I skipped the first one entirely because I knew what it was, and I watched 2 and 3, and I had a totally different feel for it. I completely agree with you about 1, like, even to the point that I think 1's an unforced error, because they open 2 with with Saul throwing spears at David, which is the same way. Like, I even told Jess after we watched the first one, I was like, what are they doing? Like, they had a cool idea of, like, starting the season with the forward. Like, they start the season how they're going to end the season, and that sets up
A tone, a timeline.
a timeline. And they didn't do that with the first one. It's like almost the first one was like leftover from season 1.
Yeah, I
and they
agree with
wanted to
that.
force it in, because season 2 they open, like, get rid of season 1, episode 1. It's for all I care, because they open episode 2 with Saul throwing spears at David. Like, that's how this will end. And I really enjoyed that. So it wasn't until I went back and rewatched 2 and 3 that I had a different vibe on it.
And maybe that's what
I agree with
need.
you.
That's
I agree
maybe
with you.
that's what I need to do. But unlike the first season, like, this season just started out with, I was just like immediately thrown off, and then the rest of the episodes I was just looking for the wrong things.
Maybe you got to go back to the first season though, because we got
Yeah.
immediately thrown off with David's mom being a whore.
Yeah,
I have to consistently with this remind myself that A, it's an adaptation, and B, as adaptations go, it is fantastic.
Truth.
yeah. It's
Like, I remind myself that constantly, because Amazon recently did Wheel of Time, which I've gotten on my soapbox about on this show before, and it was terrible, and they ruined everything. I haven't seen anything that is like, one of the things I really liked about the very first episode of House of David was there were whole dialogue scenes that were lifted straight from the Bible. I don't think we've had one of those since
Okay,
the first episode.
well, that's a good introduction for me.
All right, go for it.
Here are things that I think we're it might not be like what you're saying, pure biblical dialogue. The things I love is the setup, because they take, especially episode 2 and 3, they're setting up really solid biblical storylines. For example, the relationship. So in season 1, Jonathan goes to Samuel to try to find out what the heck's going on. What's happened to my dad? What's the deal? Have you anointed someone else king? Who is it? And Jonathan has put it all together, which is, again, why he comes to David's defense. Like, there's a scene, where they're at the brook, but then you get into episodes 2 and 3, and, like, Jonathan, who knows he's now not going to be king, and they put I love the way they present Jonathan.
Jonathan has become probably my favorite character in this entire thing.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But the way that he is now mentoring David, has come alongside of David, is rallied around, like, the setup of the tragedy, but the relationship between Jonathan and David, they've done a really good job establishing. I love the setup, because biblically David is supposed to be given to Merab. Like, I was worried about that with the first season, because they set this whole love affair up with him and Michael, but, like, she's now going to be given to David. Like David and Merab are going to get married. That is biblically accurate. Some things happen, some things change, but again, solid setup. I love that. Again, there's not a lot of biblical angle to this. But Ishbosheth, like the way that they developed some of Ishbosheth, his connections with Dan, later storylines where when Saul does die, when Jonathan dies, that Ishbosheth takes the throne, that Abner is instrumental in making him king. That setup's great. You mentioned Uriah. I had that on my list. The interesting dynamics between Saul and Samuel and their hatred and the fact that Saul kind of wants to kill Samuel, that'll play itself out in 2 Samuel 19 with David.
Not to skip ahead, but I've already watched the episode 5. Wait till you get to
All right.
You do this. You did this last season too.
I know. I can't help myself.
And then
I'm a binge watcher.
And then I'll close the King Achish, the development of Achish, the sword, the way that the sword, Goliath's sword, how all that plays in. That also sets up biblical storylines. Saul's wife, one of my criticisms about the first season is she's too big of a character because she's not in the biblical storyline much at all. And then Saul ends up with concubines, living girlfriends. They do a good job of starting to maybe phase her more into the background. Again, I think there was no direct biblical line, but there was, I love the setup.
I agree with you. Yeah. And I'd actually add one more to Saul and his wife. And that is that they are setting, I enjoy the way they're setting the groundwork for Saul turning to witchcraft at the end.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Because you're right. His wife is kind of faded into the background. He's going to get to the end of his rope and turn back to the thing that his wife wanted him to turn to now that he refused.
And she would be the mechanism
to do that.
I didn't even think of that, but
I just thought about it right.
I think that's absolutely right.
I think it'd be that'll be a very interesting storyline to see play out.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And you the criticism might be, well, like how can you enjoy a story like this? Okay, going back, we've mentioned Game of Thrones before. I didn't read the books. A lot of my friends read the books and were watching the show, and they struggled with the show because they had read the books. I'm like, I don't care at all. This is great. So what about the books? Like, we're experiencing that because we know the biblical story. Mm-hmm. And I think your observation, I think they're doing a good job. Let's be careful with it. There's a lot we've got to cover. We'll just punt that there. I don't know how much I'm going to get to my topic tonight, but I really do want to take advantage of the opportunity. We've got Vinny here to do a Dear Daddy. And so, Creighton, if you could cue us up real quick.
Dear Daddy.
We're getting queued up at some point.
Yeah, gosh dang, man.
Out on the Montana plains where the big sky meets the land, Dear Daddy stands with a Bible in a calloused hand. His heart is full of faith and his stories never end. He shares the wisdom from the range where wild rivers bend. He's roped the winds of doubt and tamed the storms of fear. With a prayer and a grin, he makes the truth appear. From the Bible's holy words to the lessons of the soil, he shares God's love with honesty and none can foil. Dear Daddy, oh dear Daddy, hear the crow cry. With your cowboy heart, you answer questions why. Faith and life, you guide us through the darkest night. Dear Daddy, shine your wisdom, lead us to the light.
All right, Dear Daddy is our segment where we ask a random fan question to Dear Daddy. So, you ready?
Ready.
All right. As a hunter and a Christian, what value do you see in killing an animal? Now, you've been hunting for years, so give a little, what's your background with hunting?
So growing up, we were extremely, extremely poor. Like, we could not afford red meat. So we got the basics, potatoes, cabbage, the cheap veg and ramen noodles. And so for any kind of nutritional protein, we had to hunt. I mean, we had a little kid brain says we had a 14-foot long freezer. Now that I'm an adult, it was probably 8 feet long, but I just remember this massive freezer in our house, and it was always full of elk and deer and whatever, antelope, black bear, and it was a necessity.
Black bear.
Yeah.
What does black bear taste like?
Pork.
Really?
Yeah, you cook it exactly like pork. Low and slow, let it drip into the smoker. If you're trying to cook bear meat like deer steak, you're an idiot, and stop. Like, please stop.
I don't know anybody
You have to
that's
cook
doing that.
bear meat like pork.
I don't believe you, so you're gonna have to.
I will prove it to you.
Okay, you need to prove it to me.
Yeah, my very good friend Jody Power just got some bear meat.
I want to
so
try bear so bad.
Yeah, let's do it. We'll have a whole cookout.
All right.
Like a Outlaw Radio
board.
cookout.
Outlaw mukbang.
Yeah. So yeah, we just grew up eating wild game because it was necessary. So when in Montana, you can't hunt until you're 12 years old. So at 12 years old, rite of passage, you go to hunter safety. And hunter safety when I was a kid is not like what hunter safety now is. Like, we had to go out in the woods and they give you like one match and you had to figure out how to light a fire with one match, and if you didn't pass, you didn't pat. Like,
Today they let like 4 or 5 genders.
yeah,
qualify.
exactly. So hunter safety was a whole thing. And at 12 years old, we were handed a rifle and we were told to hunt. We weren't asked if we wanted to hunt. It was a necessity for the family to survive. So that is no longer the case. In the 1980s, you had like 21% of the population of America hunted. Now we have 6% of the population that hunts. So now it is much more about conservation. If you don't keep these animal populations under control, you end up with really gross, disgusting diseases. One disease we have very prevalent here in Georgia because we are overpopulated with deer because nobody in Atlanta hunts. You got a city of however many million people that nobody hunts. And so the deer are just breeding out of control. And you get EHD where the deer's hooves literally fall off and they can't walk. And then they die because they can't walk or eat, or it's disgusting. So hunting for me now is more about conservation and taking care of what animals God has put us in charge of.
And there's a biblical ethic that goes with that.
Yeah. God put Adam in charge of the animals. He was the steward of the animals of the earth. When Adam was in charge of the animals in Eden, there was no death. So, God was doing his thing, keeping track and making sure that overpopulation didn't happen. Well, now there's sin and death and disease and all this stuff. And so now man is very much taxed with the responsibility of taking care of these populations of animals. And I grew up in Montana, and so you look at the population of Montana, 780,000 people, 150,000 Montana residents hunt. That's a huge percentage of their population. It's a huge state, but you've got a massive percentage of the population that hunts versus Georgia, where like 4% of our population hunts.
And they say like 400 fatalities a year from deer-related car accidents.
Yes.
Like it's a...
Yeah, and you hear it on the news here right now. Like every morning, I listen to 95.5, and they're already warning of deer on I-20.
Wait, 95.5 The Beat?
No.
Is it not The Beat anymore?
Right.
No,
Are you
it's
talking
the
like
news.
gangster rap?
No, it's the news.
Okay.
Oh, see, back in my day, 95.5 was The Beat.
Zach and I had the same reaction.
Wait, you're listening to what?
It literally,
You listen to 95.5.
it
The
literally
Beat.
hasn't been 95.5 The Beat in like 15 or 20 years.
That's the last time I listened to the radio. I don't
listen
know.
to the radio. I have a phone.
I have a 1997 Ford F-250.
I've
with,
seen Vinny listening to DMX driving down the road.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what I was
Up
thinking.
in here.
So yeah, I mean, like when you hear the newscasters in Atlanta talking about people being careful of deer crossing the road and deer running out into traffic, I mean, that's this time of year. It's getting cooler. During the summer, they very much stay in their little pocket of shrubbery, and they don't come out until night, like the middle of the night. Now that it's cooler in the mornings, cooler in the evenings, the deer are coming out. They're crossing the highways at 7, 8, 9 a.m., and they're coming out as early as 5 p.m. So you're going to have more deer-related accidents. You're going to have more fatalities, car wrecks. The biggest thing is it's not the deer that kills people. It's the idiot that swerves to miss the deer that goes into head-on traffic and hits somebody at 70 miles an hour.
Yeah.
But the deer caused it. And so at this point in my life, it's more about conservation. It's population control, and we get some yummy meat treats out of it, and they're not full of, weird hormones and vaccinations and stuff like the beef and the pork that we
Unless
have.
they're getting their water source from the local golf course, because if they're doing that,
Yeah,
I wouldn't eat anything that was grazing around that golf course.
No, that's a valid point. I mean, like a lot of you get into more like the commercial farmland where they're spraying pesticides on the corn and the soybeans and stuff like that. You're probably getting some unclean wild game, but where I grew up in Montana, that's very much not a concern. I mean, they're eating whatever's growing in the woods. So
I think that's a good answer. It's a very good answer. So tonight, we're way out of time.
House of David will do that to you.
House of David does.
I got to go home and binge watch it.
I know. We will not make House of David dominate the show.
That being said, go watch House of David.
Yes.
It's really good, and it's a good adaptation.
And then I wonder, hit us up, popecrayton@gmail.com. Let us know what you think about House of David.
Yes.
Like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what you thought about House of David.
Let us go ahead and warn you though. The first season earlier this year, you went to watch it. You had Amazon Prime. You could just watch it. You were good to go. They make you subscribe to what's called Wonder Project. And it's like $9 a month. You can cancel it, but you actually have to pay now to watch House of David, which will, to me, it'll be very interesting to see what the numbers will look like after that. I did a little digging into why that is. So John Irwin, he's the creator behind House of David. He's also known for Jesus Revolution, the movie. They launched Wonder Project, the application on Amazon, October 5th with House of David. And they did that because it seems that in order to continue to make this type of quality product, they need to charge $9 a month and not get raped over the coals by Amazon. Because if you're going to stream through Amazon Prime, they're going to take most of the money. I know that because my wife wrote a book and we don't make a lot of money on an individual copy. Justin's going to pull it out. It's all good. And Amazon Christmas.
Moved it away from my
I
arm's
did. I moved it away from you. So I understand it. And to me, the calculation was like, it's disappointing, but you know what? I canceled Netflix. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch this for 2 months, and I went ahead and just axed Netflix, and I'm gonna save $10 a month. So again, $9. That's basically a spicy chicken combo at Chick-fil-A to support good quality Christian-based media. And so,
which you can also find at outlawradio.org.
Thank you. Which is the website that will send you to outlawradio.live, which is the YouTube channel.
Right.
So my point is that it does cost, but I would really encourage you to think about where you spend your money and what you support. And I think that this is, again, full disclosure, as soon as I'm done, I will cancel it. But I will pay probably $18 for 2 months to watch a show that I really enjoy. Good grief. I remember going to Blockbuster and that was, 3 movies. So it's big scheme, pretty cheap. Encourage you to think it through. I do want to mention about, again, living life backwards. So I had all kinds of scenarios laid out of your life, how it would land. I think that this is a conversation that needs to be had. I don't have enough time to really do this appropriately. We don't talk enough from an eschatological standpoint, and that means like the study of biblical end times. Like, where does all of this storyline go? Like, we don't talk enough about like where our destiny really is. Because if we did, it would really have an impact, like on the way we process things. And like, I'm not even talking about whether you believe in the rapture or not. Really, everyone. I don't care what your particular position is, whether you're like pre-trib, post-trib, amill, whatever, if you're a preterist or not, everyone does see a context, because you can't avoid it biblically, where the fulfillment of biblical prophecy will necessitate in a literal second coming of Jesus to earth, where he establishes on this earth a kingdom that will last for 1,000 years before we transition to eternity. I don't care if you're Presbyterian, if you're Catholic, if you're evangelical Protestant, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you believe that the rapture happens before the tribulation, in the middle of the tribulation, at the end of the tribulation. If you don't even believe that there's a tribulation, that you just read Revelation is all being fulfilled and Titus' sacking of Jerusalem in 70 AD, regardless of all that. At some point, we all do believe that Jesus will come back and will usher in a kingdom. And that within that kingdom of 1,000 years, you will have a life on earth. Like, so again, this can only be just a tease for next week. But here's the thought I want you to consider. We think of death, and then we think of heaven. Maybe we should think of hell, but we think of eternity, the afterlife, our life outside of earth. But the Bible, if you're a Christian, the Bible is crystal clear that death has, like, yes, there might be a part of your life where you leave earth, but there's going to be 1,000 years of your life that you will be back on earth, this earth right here, serving in a kingdom. You might live 70, 80, 90 years. That's short. When Solomon says life is but a vapor, vanity, vanity, like, your time here is so small and context to the time you will have here in a totally different context, in a very same world, a very different ruler. We hear a passage where Jesus would say, if you're faithful over little, I'll make you faithful over much. And we immediately contextualize that into our life here, right now, this temporal thing. Like, what if whatever this 70 years is, that little, has nothing to do with this part of your life, but has everything to do with you developing certain abilities and skills that God will use in the next manifestation of your life here. Like, and I think of Justin, my buddy Justin, who has so many life experiences and so many great perspectives and, like, things he's done, and is right now, and you don't mind me speaking this way?
No.
All right. Is working a job. Working a job. Like, life doesn't look anything like he would have thought or expected. He's working a job. And he's blessed because he can be super involved in his church. He can come and do this, and he can develop brotherhood. But what if, like, it's so easy to think, this is it? Bro, if this is it, this is not it. Because there is so much more life that this small thing we call life is preparing, establishing, setting the tables for. Your archaeology degree might have nothing to do with these 70 years, but it can have so much to do with you digging up treasure for Jesus later.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people don't.
You guys understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
Absolutely.
I never thought of it that way too, and, like, I don't think it's hard for us to conceptualize 1,000 years. But I just grokked what happened 1,000 years ago, the Middle Ages started.
Started?
Started.
Wow.
1,000
We
years
didn't
ago.
have the internet 1,000 years
Yeah,
ago.
we didn't have the, right. But I mean, you've got stuff like
I don't know if we had the wheel 1,000 years ago.
right. And I mean, you had stuff like the Byzantine Empire.
We didn't have Martin Luther.
You didn't have anything like that. But like 1,000 years ago, my ancestors were still living around castles and didn't have running water. And
Mine was
and
still in
didn't-
Africa.
Right.
And Italy.
In Italy. But like,
And one of them in Egypt.
but like from now, the like Emperor Conrad II. You had in England, Canute the Great. This is back when we were speaking right on the verge of Middle English.
You are closer to the original St. Nicholas than we are now.
Correct. and it's hard. The Song Dynasty in China. I mean, that was the peak of Chinese history right there.
Mm-hmm.
And
1,000 years.
1,000 years ago. And it's hard. It's harder for most people. It's a little bit easier for me, who's had to study these 1,000 years ago, these 2,000 years ago, these 3,000 years ago. But it's hard for most people to conceptualize 1,000 years.
I mean, that's something like 12 generations. If everyone lives around 70 years.
I mean, it's hard enough for you. You're the oldest one in the group, right? It's hard to.
That's funny. I'm
right.
the youngest
All right,
person
sorry,
here.
youngest
Hello.
one in the group.
Hello.
It's hard enough for you to conceptualize a time without the internet.
I was around before the internet.
Not really.
But it's hard to conceptualize.
Not really.
No, but I understand what you mean.
You had
Like
Bluetooth
literally,
diapers.
it's
Right.
like it's something like 12 generations.
Like my
1,000
mom,
years.
My mom, when we would go out and play, couldn't call me on a cell phone. She drove around the neighborhood and honked the horn if I wasn't back by the
I
time
was
the
born
the
in
streetlights
'93.
came
Why are
on.
you talking to me like I didn't live in that same world as you?
But by the time you were old enough to do stuff, the internet was around, things were around, times were different.
Listen, Karen would drive down the street, honk the horn.
Yes.
And the bushes would start shaking.
Yes.
like a raptor was coming out. And then
Yes.
Justin would emerge.
Yes.
You and I lived in the same world for the most part.
Not
No,
really.
we didn't.
Yes, we did.
In
Craig, we don't live in the same world now.
You were born in 93. By the time you were the year 2000, when you were 7, I was in high school.
I was running a crew.
was in college.
No, I get that. My parents didn't get a phone until I was in elementary or middle school.
But what I'm saying, there were phones that existed, the cell phones, other than the ones that were
Whatever.
corded
Fine.
to your
Move
your
along.
house.
1,000 years is a long time.
That's the point.
I got
That's
my
the
first
point.
cell phone when Creighton was 5.
Okay, so you got your first cell phone
Creighton
a
also-
decade before I got mine.
Yep.
So my point
I grew up in a
here,
world without cell phones the same way you did.
this took a turn.
It did. It always does.
It always does.
How's this show work, Creighton?
So next week,
Gosh dang it, Frank. Whenever
Does Frank
age
jump
comes
in?
up, yes, he texts me. And whenever this comes up, whenever age comes up around Frank, he says to me, "I have clothes older than you." He just texts me, "I have clothes older than you."
what he
Thank you,
wanted
Frank.
to say is
I also have
he
clothes
wanted to
older
say
than
he
me.
wanted to say I have underwear older than you. That's what you wanted to say, and he should have just said it.
Yeah.
That's what you wanted to say. My point, and we'll delve into this more because I think it's like I've got like 6 scenarios, but like there's my point, friend. This life is real short, but it matters a lot. It matters a lot, but what matters is your decision about Jesus, because that determines everything else. Everything else. And if you feel like you're following Jesus and you're not being used in the way that you think you should be or whatnot, what if this is just preparation for what Jesus really wants to use you for? Because there will be so much more of your life on earth after you die. And that is a really, really trippy thought that we'll unpack more next week. So roll me out. Thank you for joining us, Outlaw Radio Show. If you're watching, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Check out the podcast. What you've been watching will release as an audio podcast, Apple, Google, Spotify. If you're listening, thanks for doing that. It's awesome. Share it. Pass it along to your friends. But join us Wednesday night, 8 o'clock. We live stream what you're listening to. It's a show. We put faces to names. You can find the show, the live stream show, outlawradio.live or facebook.com/the radio outlaw. It's where we stream. Also x.com/Zach_Adams, my page. But we're so glad that you joined us. We love you guys. Thanks for watching us, hanging out, listening. And we will see you here, there, in the air, or next week at 8 o'clock. God bless.